Today on CTV Morning Live, disturbing new details. The 13-hour-long rampage in Nova Scotia began when the killer assaulted his girlfriend and wearing red in honor of Constable Heidi Stevenson.
Hello, Atlantic, Canada. It is Friday, April the 23rd. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It has been a dark week in Nova Scotia since the terrible events from last weekend. But the way Atlantic Canadians and people from across the country and around the world have come together to show their support through music, photos, and poems, we can say it's been very touching. Amanda, of course, you will have the latest coming up in the news.
Absolutely, and including details to a vigil that will be held online tonight. And we are also going to broadcast this vigil 7 p.m. here on CTV and online on CTVnews.ca. I'll have more details in the news, including the latest in the investigation.
Okay.
As well.
Well, it was a nice start to the day, but I hear rain is on the way for most of the Maritimes.
For southern areas of the Maritimes, we are going to see a low pressure system pushing through, and that is going to bring some spring rain, mainly to Nova Scotia over the next couple of hours. But it is a beautiful start to the day, a little bit on the cooler side for some areas, but we'll actually see quite a recovery in our temperatures this afternoon, with some areas in New Brunswick reaching into the double digits temperature-wise. Here's a live look this morning at Dartmouth. It is a bright start to the day. We are seeing some increasing cloudiness that is going to begin to build through the southwest corner of Nova Scotia, eventually building across the rest of the province. That is, of course, because of this low pressure system that is pushing towards Nova Scotia at the moment. So increasing cloudiness through the morning and early afternoon. We won't actually start to see the rain until late this afternoon into the early evening. Again, starting for the southern half of Nova Scotia. It is going to take some time for that system to push across the province, eventually leading up into Cape Breton Island through the overnight hours. Now, our winds have been light and fairly calm this morning, a little gusty up for parts of Labrador, but overall quite a pleasant start to the day. -4 in Fredericton this hour with mostly sunny conditions, 1 degree in Charlottetown, -3 in Sydney, and -1 in St. John's. That is a look at current conditions across Atlantic Canada. I'll have your full forecast coming up a little bit later in the show, but for now, we'll check in with Amanda for a first look at today's news.
Thank you, Kaylee. Good morning, everyone. CTV News has learned the shooter involved in a mass killing in Nova Scotia began his attack by handcuffing and assaulting his girlfriend before she escaped and hid in the woods. 22 others were murdered. Some were known to the shooter, others were not. CTV's Todd Battis has the latest.
Today, homeowners on Portapique Beach Road were allowed in to grab a few things. It was here Saturday night, CTV News has learned, the shooter assaulted his longtime girlfriend and put her in handcuffs, setting off a 13-hour rampage. She managed to escape, run, and hide in the surrounding woods. The gunman then focused on shooting neighbors and burning down homes before leaving in a Mountie uniform, driving a fake Mountie cruiser to hunt others on what the Globe and Mail reported was a hit list found by police.
The individual knew exactly where he was going, knew exactly who he was encountering.
For police racing through the dark from outlying detachments, it would have been utter confusion. Looking for the replica in this cell phone photo, which CTV News has learned, was given to police by his girlfriend the next morning. The shooter drove around, killing targets like Sean McLeod, Alana Jenkins, and anyone who got in the way. Police evacuated homes and brought people to the Onslow Fire Hall. Here, 2 RCMP officers pulled up. Shots were fired, hitting the building. Sources tell CTV News the target was another Mountie who they thought was a suspect, stopping only when he identified himself. That incident is under investigation. The shooter may have been planning this for as long as 2 years when he introduced himself to a New Brunswick collector as a former Mountie and attempted to buy an old police cruiser from him. The man, now in his 80s, refused to sell it. The idea of buying police equipment worries Canada's public safety minister.
People thought they were dealing with a trusted individual, nobody more trusted in their communities than the local police, and that he may have used that trust in order to victimize people.
It fooled victims like grandmother and nurse Heather O'Brien.
I want to know why there wasn't an emergency alert at 8 o'clock in the morning when they knew that that man left Portapique, because that would have saved countless lives, not just my mother's. I want to know why an RCMP officer has not knocked on my father's front door and told them how sorry. There's been nobody. It took them a day and a half to even call.
The gunman was driving the fake when Constable Heidi Stevenson rammed it with her cruiser. He shot her before heading towards Halifax, no doubt to kill more on his list. It ended when he pulled into a truck stop near Enfield.
They got the killer right here.
A passerby captured the frantic scene when police surrounded the shooter's car.
Oh, they got him, but they shot him. I heard the 4 shots.
And shot him dead. The RCMP has promised to release a timeline of events. That did not happen today. A news conference scheduled for this afternoon was abruptly canceled.
CTV's Todd Battis reporting in Halifax. And Tom Bagley also had his life taken from him. Bagley was a Navy veteran and retired firefighter.